CyberCrimeNetwork.com.
Well, 3 lucky winners hit the Powerball jackpot. You can tell it wasn't me because I'm still here. We'll talk about what to do if you were one of those winners. We'll talk to Phil DeLucente, our regular legal analyst, about that. We'll talk to him about Kathleen Kane and is it the end of her career, and a lot more. I hope you'll stay tuned. This is Pittsburgh Now. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pittsburgh Now. I'm Chris Moore, the Moore of Pittsburgh. Our number here is 412-333-PCNC. Well, I guess we're all ripping up our lottery tickets right now, but they say you better wait just a second and check them. There are other ways to win. If you were one of the 3 lucky winners that came from Tennessee, Florida, and California, what would you do? What's the next step? We're going to talk to Phil DeLucente, who is our regular legal analyst, about all of that. Who you should hire, a tax attorney, an attorney. Should you change your phone number because your third cousin from your mother's side is going to be calling you that you never knew growing up? Everybody's going to have a deal for you, and it could be the beginning of your troubles if you don't handle it right. If I were here, I'd probably buy a new camera for WPXI and see if we could stay in focus, to tell you the truth, sometimes. But that's neither here nor there because I didn't win. We're going to talk about what to do if you do win, and it may be good news for you as other lottery jackpots are going up and you can be prepared. We'll also talk to Phil about Kathleen Kane. It seems as though there's a lot of debate about whether she can continue in the office. She seems staunch in her resilience to stay there and never be moved. But could she be moved legally? We'll talk to her about we'll talk to Phil about what's in store for her, our embattled Attorney General, as her law license has been lifted by the Supreme Court, and much, much more. Can she continue to function and from a legal standpoint in that office as the Commonwealth's highest law enforcement officer? We'll talk to Phil about that. We'll also talk to Phil about the recent visit from the FBI director. Mr. Comey was in town. He was talking about cybersecurity, terrorism, and a lot more. We'll talk about Mr. Comey's visit and what it means for Pittsburgh. As he says, Mr. Comey does, we are the tip of the spear. That's what they used to tell us in the Army. We are the tip of the spear in the fight against cyber terrorism. Speaking of cyber terrorism, we're going to take a look with Albert Well, cyber terrorist expert, at that and what it's happening. It seems as though there have been a number of attacks around the nation that have come from Chinese forces and have come from the Ukraine or have attacked the Ukraine, and people think that Russia is suspect. Could it happen here? Could our power grid go down? And what to do if it does? How do you protect yourself and all your information when there's so many phishing emails out there that are trying to play on your curiosity and lure you in? Mr. Wells says you need to protect yourself because what you don't know is what you don't know. We're going to tell you some things that you should know with Mr. Well when we talk with him in the second part of our program. Also, last but not least, and we are going to get to this today, we're going to talk about train safety. It appears that there is a system for stopping runaway trains, whether the operator has gone to sleep, had a heart attack, or anything else. And people might raise the question of why with Amtrak is there only one engineer in the cab there? There should be 2, but you know they're cost cutting. That's what they're doing. What sort of fail-safe devices are out there where we could have train safety and not have the derailments that we're having now? Amtrak has a lot of them. They're installing them on some of their most popular routes, but other train networks are not installing them. I wonder why. We'll take a look at that later in the program. But first up, we're going to talk to defense attorney Phil DeLucente, who is our regular legal analyst here at WPXI and PCNC. We're going to talk to him about James Comey's visit here, the FBI director. We'll talk to him about what to do if you win the lottery. That won't do me any good. I didn't win, but we're going to talk about it anyway. All right, our number is 412-333-PCNC. We invite you to join us. I'm Chris Moore. This is Pittsburgh Now.
Channel 11 News
News 11 at 11 means 11 minutes of news and weather before the first commercial.
11 minutes of major news.
With more reporters in the field uncovering more details from important local stories.
More stories and more details right from the scene.
Plus, Severe Weather Team 11 weather before the first commercial.
I'll have your first look at weather before the first commercial.
Tonight, watch Channel 11 News 11 at 11 for 11 minutes of news and weather before the first commercial. Channel 11 News, coverage you can count on.
Need a car today, but your refund check is weeks away? Even if you have real credit challenges or have been turned down for a loan, you can get a car today at JD Byrider during the Early Bird Tax Refund event. Just bring us your pay stub or W-2. We'll estimate your tax refund while you wait. Then you can use part of it to finance the car you need now. Your refund check may be weeks away, but you could be driving today. The Early Bird Tax Refund event. Go, go.
Weather affects everything we do, from your plans, your work, your health, your mood. You want to know what's happening and when it's coming in your direction. To have 1 million watts of power gives us a more exact picture of when it's going to rain or when it's going to snow or when severe weather might strike. And with our technology, we're able to give you that forecast and give you a timeline on it so that you're ahead of the game, ahead of the storm.
Pittsburgh's Chief Meteorologist Stephen Cropper and Severe Weather Team 11. Coverage you can count on.
When severe weather hits, our morning news becomes your source for critical information.
This is Channel 11 Morning News Severe Weather Team 11 Alert. And this is what it means to you.
I'm using Storm Tracker Doppler 11 radar to update the weather every 10 minutes all morning long.
We're always monitoring current traffic conditions. And urgent school closings and delays are on your screen all the time.
The one thing you need to know when the snow falls. Severe Weather Team 11 Alert on Channel 11 Morning News.
We're on WPXI TV and live streaming on our Wake Up app.
Well, the big lottery was won last night in 3 states, Florida, Tennessee, and California. What to do if you win? For more background on what has happened so far and whether anybody has come forward, let's turn to this report from NBC's Miguel Amulgar.
Can you believe it, America? A world record jackpot.
This morning, the Powerball pandemonium lives on. Shortly after the winning numbers were drawn, residents of Chino Hills, California, flooded their local 7-Eleven, where one of the winning tickets were sold, joining together for an impromptu celebration. Even the losers felt like winners here. 7-Eleven owner Balbir Atwal discovered his store had sold the winning ticket from news reports. He's now set to receive $1 million for selling it.
I feel very good. Blessed.
Winning Powerball number. Good luck to you. It is the number 10.
Winning tickets were also sold in Melbourne, Florida, and Mumford, Tennessee. The winners will divide the nearly $1.6 billion jackpot evenly. Even if all of them decide on the cash option, they'll take home roughly $530 million before taxes. While the winners will fork over hefty federal taxes, all 3 winning tickets were drawn in states where the winners will not have to pay state income tax on their prize. An extra bonus for 3 lucky people this morning.
And we're joined now by Phil DeLucente. He's the defense attorney and our legal analyst here at PCNC and WPXI. Good morning. How are you?
Chris, nice to see you.
All right. You're smiling, but you're here and I'm here, so I guess you and I didn't win, right?
No, nobody I knew won because I made sure I told everyone I met, make sure you call me if you win, because that would be a nice retainer.
They'll put you on retainer,
That's
right?
That's
You've
right.
got relatives in Tennessee. I have relatives in California. I haven't heard from any of them yet. Have you?
I haven't heard from any of them, and it looks like we just got to make some deposits next time for the next set of tickets.
I guess so. They're probably rapidly changing their phone numbers right now. They don't want to hear from me.
That's right.
All right. Well, what should you do? What's the first thing to do? You're going to get like $500 million here if it's split 3 ways to 3 individuals.
Yeah, this was such a large lottery, but really, even if you win $100,000, $500,000, $1 million, that's still a lot of money. And what I suggest to people right away is don't tell anyone. Sign the back of the ticket. Do not tell anyone. Take it in. make sure you contact a legal advisor. Let that legal advisor then decide for you, someone you trust or someone that your family knows and trusts, so he can put you in touch with the proper persons, whether it be accountants, tax advisors, and if it's over $1 million, you're going to need a team. That's just the way it works. So those are some of the things you need to do. Now, when you get into the amount of money that we were dealing with in this case, you should not disclose it right away for several reasons. There's going to be so many people that reach out to solicit who you are. In this Facebook age, in this technology age with these phones, the first thing you'd want to do is make sure you tell the world every time there's a happy moment, a nice meal, you see Instagram, these pictures, all these different things. Do not do that, because you will be solicited more than you ever imagined, and it could actually be dangerous. So this amount of money, sign the back of the ticket, contact your lawyer, and make sure he sets up the proper team, because there's ways to go about it. In some states, you would not even have to disclose the identification of the person if you set up things in a certain manner, whether it be blind trust or so forth.
Yeah, but the lottery wants everybody to come forward so they can show all those pictures of you dancing with that big check, don't they?
That's exactly right, because you have to remember it's twofold. One, you won, but two, they want to promote future games of small chance like this, and they want to make sure that people keep buying tickets.
You just mentioned but some states don't require it. I think Ohio and Maryland, according to my producer, don't require it. Why does Pennsylvania make you come out publicly?
You know, I don't know the answer to that. We're such a transparent between right-to-know laws and the transparency of anyone that runs for office. They make that a big issue. But I could tell you this. In the future, I think you're going to see more of it, especially with these jackpots rising. Because when you start I mean, think about that. If just say one person had hit the lottery, they would be an instant billionaire. Not a millionaire, billionaire. Taxes paid. Off the $1.5 billion, they would pay about $500,000-600,000 in tax. They'd be a billionaire overnight. So that could be
more than that, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, but my point is, it would be for safety and security purposes. It could start to become very, very dangerous. And I would suggest is these
armed security. You think hiring a bodyguard would be important?
Well, yeah, I mean, you absolutely would, because it isn't the first time that people that are deranged in their minds or whatever have ideas of kidnapping and so forth. So it really is a dangerous proposition.
Would you move out the old neighborhood as much as you might enjoy where you live?
Me?
No, would you recommend that? I'm saying, I'd like to stay in my neighborhood, but I don't know if that would be possible.
I think
people are knocking on your door.
I think everybody would want to stay in their neighborhood, and they'd want to do their job, because people typically like where they live and they enjoy it. I would say no, though they're not going to be able to, because it's going to be a point of interest for anybody who knows. Eventually it's going to come out, unless you're in one of those states and unless you set up blind trusts like I had suggested. So yeah, you would have to move out.
Sounds like you'd have to go to a gated community almost.
Well, I don't think...
And I hate those places.
No, I think...
I have relatives that live in one of those places. You can't even get in. Who are you here to see? Well, you know, it's terrible.
Well, the problem when you have all that money, and I'm best friends with someone who's a billionaire, the problem you have is everybody, if they know about it, is trying to get something from you. So you might have to get another house for a while. It's a time delay so that you're not on the cover of the front of the newspaper anymore. You're not news, if you will. So after a year or two, who knows? You could keep that house, move away, get another house, and then eventually come back.
My brother-in-law says winning the lottery is the beginning of all of your troubles, because everybody is going to pester you, as you are alluding to, about almost everything. It could be a nightmare. And I've seen some lottery winners go broke who won huge amounts.
Yeah, there's a book out there that talks about former lottery winners and how they lose all of their winnings. The problem becomes everyone thinks because it came so easily to you. It's unlike somebody that creates an app or created a medical device or what have you. They say, well, they earned it through their... They're saying, hey, you just lucked out on it. Why shouldn't you enjoy that luck with all of us? So it makes it a lot easier for psychologically people to approach others and say, hey, you fell into this, why don't you help me fall into some too?
Well, it's kind of like being a pro athlete. They've lost their fortunes. Too many of them have lost their fortunes through unwise investments and just throwing money up in the air and all that sort of stuff. I think when you're part of the nouveau riche, the newly rich, you probably don't know how to handle it.
I don't think if you didn't grow up a multi-millionaire, you wouldn't even know the first steps. And that's why you need to contact these professionals who deal with persons day in and day out, and they can say, look, take a deep breath. We have that a lot of times whenever persons get large settlements. The first thing we tell them is don't buy anything for 6 months. Don't buy any. You're allowed to
don't buy a $100,000 new car, a new Bentley.
Yeah,
that would be more than $100,000.
Yeah, well, if you get $1 million settlement, you say, listen, just take a couple dollars, buy something nice for yourself, and then sit on the rest of it for 6 months. Because if you don't, you'll just start becoming a spending machine, and you'll find enjoyment. Then they all end up in debt. A lot of these lottery winners.
I think I'd start traveling. That's one of the things I'd like to do.
Well, don't go on top of Mount Everest or some crazy. You know, we want to keep you here.
No,
you know,
not dangerous stuff. I mean fun stuff. You know, historical stuff.
Sure.
What happens if you're in a pool? A lot of people in offices go into pools. How are you going to break that up? If one of those 3 winners is part of a 20-person pool, what happens then?
Well, people may laugh at this, but you know, someone has to sign the back of the ticket. So whenever they all come, all the tickets,
everybody's got to sign it?
Well, typically how a pool works is you'll have, just like any secretary, they'll go down.
One person did it all, right?
And they'll make copies for everyone, okay? But then that subjects oneself to what? Arguments on who actually put in money, no, that was a loan to me. All these defenses could be raised by the lottery winner who's holding the ticket. So I would suggest, as funny as this may sound, you may laugh, it sounds so lawyeristic, but you just have a simple agreement that everyone in this office.
You mean a written agreement?
Sure, a little handwritten agreement is fine on the copies of the lottery tickets, so that way it's a written agreement between the parties so that both meeting of the minds take place. If not, it's subject to litigation, and then guess what happens? They've had these cases. The money is then by the state, since it's being contested, is placed into escrow. Nobody gets any money, and it's the lawyers start fighting over the. I mean, it's you know.
Greed is something else, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Now, would that be a binding contract that could hold up in court? A simple agreement that everybody signed? We all put $2 in on this apiece, and we hit.
I've known developers and represented gentlemen that have made agreements on napkins at cocktail hour that have held up. So yes.
What about taxes? The government is going to get theirs. I understand in these 3 states there are no personal income taxes. That would be different if a winner won here in Pennsylvania, right? Yeah,
the federal tax rate, I believe, is 39.5%. So basically, whatever you would come into.
Nobody really pays that, do they? There are ways around that, aren't there?
That's why you need the legal team, so they get you with the right professionals. But essentially, I always tell people, think about it as a third, whether you're coming into compensation of whatever nature. Figure about 35% roughly, with all the, like you're saying, the legal loopholes.
Have you ever handled these kind of cases, lottery winners?
No, but unfortunately I have come across clients that had won the lottery. I'll never forget the one fellow came into the office, and he's in the office, and he had a ring, and a gentleman I used to do business with, and I asked, why did you have that? And he was one of the early lottery winners, and they had hit the lottery. So,
and he bought a big diamond ring with it?
Yeah.
Was that all he had left?
Well, there's always a story behind those cases, but unfortunately they don't work out as well as people think. So yes, it's unfortunate. It really is.
Yeah, I think when you're not used to that kind of money, it's easy to misuse it and lose it. We wonder why professional athletes with multi-million-dollar contracts end up going broke 3 years after they leave the league, but it happens all the time.
It happens. Professional athletes, though, I categorize them differently. Through their hard work, effort, blood, sweat, tears, they make that money.
Yeah.
So you would think people would be less inclined, human nature, because they did it through hard work, they'd be less inclined to mooch off them, if you will, or just.
I've talked to sports agents who tell me that in addition to carrying mama in them and buying mama a new house, a new car, and all that, they're carrying 18 other family members who are mooching off them when they do this. Oh, you made it. Hey, we made it.
Yeah,
you know, that kind of thing.
Sure.
And it's their hard sweat and blood and tears and broken bones and concussions.
Where with a lottery ticket, they say, hey, you fell into this. Why don't you share it with me?
Yeah, wouldn't work on me, friends, let me tell you. All right, anyway, well, we don't have to worry about that, though. 412-333-PCNC, what would you do if you win the lottery? We'll come back, and we're going to talk about Mr. Comey, the FBI director, being here. We'll talk about Kathleen Kane and what is her career prospects. We'll do that when we return with Phil DeLucenti. Stay with us.
Have you ever struggled to get out of the car? Does back or knee pain make it hard? Do you push with your arm when you try to stand? Or ask someone to give you a hand? Then let us help you out with the incredible new Car Cane. Now you can get in and out of your car with ease. This new portable handle locks instantly into the door latches of any car. The non-slip grip is comfortable to hold. It gives you the leverage to lift yourself up. Simply open your door and snap it on. Car Cane snaps into place and will not move. In fact, Car Cane's aluminum construction can hold 350 pounds. Amazing! Then, Car Cane unlocks and stores away easily in the door or glove box.
If you are recovering from an injury or suffer from back pain, knee pain, or hip pain, you need the Car Cane.
And when it's slippery outside, Car Cane gives you a handy grip so you won't slip. It's perfect for those tall SUVs or low compact cars too. So stop struggling and get up with ease.
It was difficult to get out on my own, and asking for help is embarrassing. Now I carry my Car Cane and help myself.
My Car Cane gave me my freedom back.
And look at this. Car Cane has a built-in flashlight. These super bright LEDs can last 100,000 hours.
We guarantee Car Cane is so well built, it will last a lifetime, or we'll replace it free.
So call and get your Car Cane today for just $19.95 on this exclusive TV offer.
But wait! Call and get a second Car Cane free. Just pay separate processing and handling. That's 2 Car Canes. Keep one in each car for a helping hand whenever you need it. So help yourself out. Get your Car Cane today.
To order your Car Cane Deluxe, call 1-800-329-4416. That's 1-800-329-4416. Or order online at carcane.com.
Welcome back. I'm Chris Moore, and with me is our legal analyst, Phil DeLucenti. Phil, FBI Director Comey was in town yesterday, and he talked about cyber terrorism. We're going to talk about that in the second half of the show. I can imagine Pittsburgh is the tip of the spear, as he said, for dealing with this.
Yeah, it is. You know, Special Agent in Charge Smith and I were on Night Talk the one night when he first came aboard. And I was applauding him just with the efforts that our Pittsburgh FBI field office has made, and also U.S. Attorney Hickton, with him actually indicting Chinese citizens that are committing terrorism apart on America through cybersecurity.
But I've read one critic say that indictment without arrest is pretty much pointless.
Well, and I disagree. A lot of people said that on its face, but let's take this logically. That's a whole lifetime that you were indicted. Our national government has ties to many nations. If those persons ever choose, and they do, as we've learned through history, they decide to travel, they decide to...
You can grab them.
You can grab them, and we will. And so, you know, I didn't like the comments that didn't have any teeth. One, it sends a message. That's very important these days. 2, that message will be received when they catch the first one, which they will.
Do you think that the Chinese military somewhere in a big building is worried about being arrested by America, or that some Soviet guy somewhere deep in Russia who's sending out malware is worried about or being so, and I've been indicted?
But you bring up a good point. Does the Chinese government? Yes. As we learned recently through the financial turmoil that's we're having in the world. Their economy relies greatly upon America and other governments. So what have we learned from the Bush era moving into the Obama era and now leaving the Obama era? We need other countries to support us in our ideas. We don't just go in and attack a nation. Now everything's you know, a 3-day meeting. Well, we do when there's
Iraq, Libya.
We do if there's an initial, if there needs,
Afghanistan.
if there,
I'm sorry.
no, but that we don't anymore is my point.
Okay.
If there needs to be an initial response, we do. But overall now, it's a conglomerate of countries that get together and talk. So it will, because it sends a message also to Russia. Russia and China have completed a tremendous amount of attacks on our banking system. And if you hear the Bank of America CEO, the JP Morgan CEO, they tell you, Bank of America made a statement, I believe Monahan, he said, there is no number that we have budgeted for our cybersecurity defense because the banking system and our energy system are the two most important parts of national security these days.
Well, we're going to talk about it in the next segment. In fact, I probably should have brought this subject up second to that. But I just wonder if there is going to be anything, if what you talk about is good, the relations that we have with nations, I think about these naval personnel who were released by Iran within 16 hours,
Sure.
and that was probably because we're holding billions of dollars of their assets that they were going to release, so now they're ready to talk rather than create another hostage situation.
Yeah, you know, when they for whatever reason, they said it was mechanical trouble that they were veering off onto that island where they were picked up. Yeah, but nonetheless, that was, when you think about it, that could have been a worldwide crisis. And you know, a lot of people have laid claim to this is the worst deal that we ever had with a country and all that. But you know, you don't really ever know if it's a good or bad deal,
I think it's an example of diplomacy working. I know it's coming under a lot of fire, and there's a lot of bellicose people out there talking about, well, if we had another president, they'd go in there and kick their behind. Well, gee whiz, we've been kicking their behinds for years. This seemed to work. 16 hours, these guys were freed. The boats were returned, everything.
That's exactly right. And so you never know if a deal's good or bad, do you, until time has passed and we see how it develops. I'll tell you, our country is fighting so many battles, though, that it does make you nervous, because you think about the things that happened in North Korea as well, with the alleged drop of the hydrogen bomb that was successful. And so we're at that cuspus of our nation where you can, you know, all the great philosophers said you can't fight too many wars. We're fighting so many wars in so many ways. We need to build our allies more than ever.
Okay, let's turn to Kathleen Kane and her career. What is going to happen there? Why is she so tenuously holding on to that office?
Well, I can't answer that, but I could tell you legally there will be a date and time where this is going to be addressed in an open court. The new issue that arises with Kane is she has just made the statement that she will seek nomination for the Democratic endorsement.
What chutzpah? Yeah,
and I don't think our state in its history has ever witnessed anything like this. Now, as we know, District Attorney Zappala is the front runner by, you know, leaps and bounds, and no one can predict anything, but it looks like he's going to win the whole thing. With that being said, she's fighting 3 battles now: the Ethics Commission, the criminal case, and now the battle with the public. She's going to have a battle.
She's lost that last one, hasn't she?
Well, one would assume yes, but it's sort of premature in nature, because there was the Senate Overpanel Committee that all her first deputies had testified to. But I'll tell you a practical way that this has a chilling effect. There was a Tribune Review article written about a judge out of the blue asking in a different county, not Allegheny, but in a different county, to a defense lawyer, are you going to challenge the authority of the Attorney General's office? And that defense lawyer said, Judge, I'm taking it under advisement at this time.
Wow.
That lawyer was me, and the county was Armstrong County. Now, in that article, it went nameless, but it was a chilling effect because I had already done preliminary research, and the ruling that came out of Armstrong County, because other lawyers had challenged it after I was in front of him, the judge denied it. But I can tell you the preliminary ruling was correct for me not to go forward, because, for this mere fact, the first deputies had signed off on the complaint, so they do have the authority to bring charges.
I just know that without a law license, you couldn't practice and you wouldn't be here. So I just makes me wonder about the ability of her to do her office. We've got about a minute and a half left.
Sure.
I'd like you to comment on Hillary Clinton's email scandal.
Boy, this is one of the most puzzling issues that has faced the Clintons, because typically they're in this soap opera. They always have a soap opera, issue going on. Whether it's boyfriends, girlfriends, money. This trying to make money off of reverse derivatives and things like that. In this case, we have an issue.
They were broke when they left the White House.
Yeah. This issue is now email servers, and I thought she made a bad mistake in response by saying in the one email, well, just send it over to the other email server, just make it nameless. That really...
You think it could derail her presidential aspirations?
I think it's really going... Well, you see the polls.
Sanders is moving on?
He's moving up in both New Hampshire and Iowa, so it's going to be interesting. I still think she's going to win the Democratic endorsement, but I think this really has hurt her way more than her advisors ever told her it would.
Phil, always a pleasure to talk to you,
Chris.
sir. You
nice
take care of yourself. All right, I'm Chris Moore. When we return, we'll continue talking about cybersecurity with Albert Will, a security expert.
Are you paying too much for your cable or satellite TV? The U.S. government passed a bill mandating free over-the-air digital transmission of all broadcast network television channels. That means with the new TV Freeway digital antenna, you can get free access to all your favorite broadcast network shows, local news and weather, sports, children's programming, and so much more in crystal clear high definition. With TV Freeway, you just plug it into the back of your TV and start watching all of your favorite broadcast programs for free.
I used to spend $79 a month on cable, and now I get to save $79 a month.
And best of all, its sleek design fits discreetly behind your TV. There are no cables, bulky boxes, or big satellite dishes to worry about.
The TV Freeway saves me money, and I still get all my favorite TV shows.
With the TV Freeway stick, there are no contracts to sign, no hidden fees, and no monthly fees. Just free HD broadcast TV. Take it with you anywhere.
On the boat, the RV, wherever I'm at, as long as there's electricity that I can plug my TV into, I have instant HD clear TV, and it's free.
So why pay over $1,000 a year for cable or satellite when you can get free HD programming from your favorite broadcast networks 24/7 without a bill? Call or go online now to get your TV Freeway stick for the incredibly low price of only $14.99. But wait, call or click now and you can get a second TV Freeway stick for a second TV. Just pay a separate fee. And TV Freeway comes with a full 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, return it and get your money back. But you have to order right now.
Call 1-800-588-8109 to get your TV Freeway. Call now or go to tvfreeway.com. So call 1-800-588-8109. That's 1-800-588-8109. This offer's not in any store. Call now.
Recently, the power grid in Ukraine was brought down by a single hacker attack. Here to explain what happened and could it happen here is Albert Will. He is a security expert and has advised a number of corporations and businesses and individuals on this. Exactly what happened? A lot of people don't know what happened in the Ukraine.
Well, there was some additional malware that was put on people's computers through an email attack, which was able to infiltrate the networks that controlled the SCADA control systems, which helped them facilitate this outage.
And was this just simple malware that they would send out to an individual, and it happened to be someone in the working on the electronic grid, or was it something that was deliberately attacking the grid?
This was definitely a deliberate attack. It's not everyday malware that you might see on the internet. This was specifically designed to be able to invade individuals that were employed by the utility itself, and then infiltrate the organization, and then provide a beacon or homing device back out to the outside, so they had a command and control structure.
Some people suspected it was Russian in its origin. You're the cyber detective here. What do you think?
Well, I haven't been able to get any details about the internals of the attack itself, so I'm going to have to defer that decision on who originated it.
Okay, no matter where it comes from, what do we need to do to protect ourselves, and could it happen here?
It most certainly can happen here, and if you do a simple Google search like I did last night, you'll see that we've been concerned about this in our own country for quite a number of years. What can we do here? The first thing that you need to do is to be more conscious of email that you open up. You should identify who is the sender of the email itself. You should not open any attachments that you weren't expecting. Like daily, I receive 5 resumes from people that I don't know who they are, but I know that in a PDF or a doc file that they can have malicious content and they can try to take over my machine. Now, thankfully, my company has a tool called Spam Zapper, which helps me identify these attacks before they occur, and I can help mitigate that by eliminating those emails from my inbox.
Some of the companies that I work for tell me you shouldn't open anything, and once my sister got mad at me because she sent me a birthday card, including things from people you know or look like people you know. My sister sent me an electronic birthday card once, and she said, "You never open it." And I said, "Because the company says don't open this stuff, and you sent it to my business address, so I didn't open it." She was mad for months about that.
And rightfully so, but I do understand where the company was telling you not to open outside emails, because even on those services that support that birthday card, those servers could be attacked with images that have an infection in them, and when you open that web page, you can become a victim of clickjacking. You can have a cross-site scripting attack.
Clickjacking? What is that?
Oh, clickjacking is where they can take over your session or send you indirectly to another computer and take over your information. So it looks like where you're supposed to be going, but it's really not that site at all. And they take over and tell you to re-authenticate, and they get your credentials. And
So what happens if you are a victim of this kind of phishing? Is there any recourse to restore all your information? Silence. No, you're done. You're cooked, huh?
Well, you know, how do I turn back time is what you're saying, right?
Right, yeah.
Good backups help you, but once the genie's out of the bottle, the genie doesn't want to come back in.
Well, what about all these things I'm reading now about people want to ransom your information and force you to pay for it? You just mentioned backups. So if you've backed up everything, you can just go tell them to pounce out. If not, you're probably in trouble, right?
More than likely, yes. And it depends on the way you're doing backups. A lot of people will have a backup, but they haven't tested whether they can restore that backup to get back to where they were in that point of time.
And so you just...
You're going to have to pay the ransom in order to get... But there are tools now, because some of these encryption tools that they're using to capture your data and take it from you now have been found to not be so random, because encryption is hard. It's not a science that you can do easily, nor I can do. It's you know, for the cyber professionals that are doing encryption techniques all the time, that they know how to do it correctly. So there are tools that can break the encryption that the ransomware is taking over, so that you can free up your data, but you don't know, when did you need that data back? Did you need it in 30 minutes? Then you might as well pay for the ransom. If you needed it in 6 months from now, then you probably can take the time to break that encryption to see if you've got it done.
Either way, it's going to cost me. I have to hire someone like you to try to break the encryption, or I have to pay the ransom.
Well, the tools themselves are out on the internet, and they're open source, so you don't have to pay for that, but you do need somebody's help to do it.
What happens if you don't have a lot of financial information on there, like you don't do any banking or buy anything over the internet? Do you still lose a lot of personal information?
So that's a good point. We should not be doing a lot of online banking and online purchasing with our computer that we read email with, because the email is where we get a lot of that activity. Also, you shouldn't be generating, Facebook updates with the same computer that you're doing your online banking with, because of those breaches on the images that you can't see the programming that's going on behind the scene.
So how do you separate this? How many computers do I have to have, and how would you separate them according to purpose?
Experts have determined that you need 47 computers. No, I'm kidding.
I almost fell off my chair. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so there's a tool out there called virtual machines. VirtualBox is a free one from Oracle. VMware is another one. You put this on your computer, and then you can run a computer inside your computer. So if you do all your banking inside a virtual machine, then it's safe from all activity that you do outside of that virtual machine.
It can be attacked too?
Well, yes, it can. It can be, but it's more difficult.
Okay.
And if you shut it down when you're done, then they can't get access to that virtual machine while it's offline.
I think you once told me there's no reason for a computer to be on if you're not in the room. Is that right?
That's a good indication of a problem awaiting your attention, yes. You don't want to leave it on so that somebody could... What if one of your siblings or your parents are on a different computer in the wireless network, and they're surfing something and they get infected, and your computer, which you're not using, is still on the network?
You're infected too.
You very likely could be infected too.
All right, we're going to continue this conversation with Mr. Whale. He is a cybersecurity expert. Our number here is 412-333-PCNC. If you have any questions, give us a call in our next segment with him.
Ferguson Clock Repair, committed to serving time in Western Pennsylvania. Contact us today and receive a free in-home estimate. Plus, all of our work is guaranteed. Visit FergusonClockRepair.com for details. Ferguson Clock Repair. When your clock doesn't tick, talk to us.
From the very start, I wanted Fitcore to be different. If you come to me, it's because you want to do what I do, because I don't do what other people do. It's kind of like creating a brand for myself.
Your business is unique. Your marketing should be too. With Vistaprint, it will be. Put your personal touch on 500 business cards starting at just $9.99. Just enter promo code TV500 at Vistaprint.com.
Stay true to yourself. You can do this how you want to do it, and somebody else is going to think that's awesome and want to do it that way too.
Vistaprint.com.
For over 50 years, Petite Kitchen and Bath has done one thing:
make customers happy.
We've built our business on satisfied customers and customer referrals.
Friends telling friends how Petite made their dreams come true.
And how we made the whole process worry-free, from custom creation to expert installation.
A Petite kitchen or bath is the perfect combination of quality materials and master craftsmanship.
Designed to fit your taste, your lifestyle, and your pocketbook.
Petite Kitchen and Bath Design Center.
Haven't you waited long enough?
Just pay half. To save money, go to justpayhalfwpxi.com. Get the best deals on restaurants, events, and family fun activities. Plus, check out our Just Pay Half app. Right now, save big on these great deals at justpayhalfwpxi.com.
Weather affects everything we do. From your plans, your work, your health, your mood, you want to know what's happening and when it's coming in your direction. To have 1 million watts of power gives us a more exact picture of when it's going to rain, or when it's going to snow, or when severe weather might strike. And with our technology, we're able to give you that forecast and give you a timeline on it so that you're ahead of the game, ahead of the storm.
Pittsburgh's Chief Meteorologist Stephen Cropper and Severe Weather Team 11. Coverage you can count on.
Albert Well is a computer security expert and president of IT Security Incorporated. How often does your firm come across businesses that are not prepared to deal with either malware or phishing expeditions?
I'd say more often than I'd care to mention. Unless they have a dedicated staff, IT staff, they're probably using outdated technology, or some don't even have filtering capabilities until it gets onto the computer system that they're using. So hindsight is 20/20, but antivirus does not stop any attacks that come out from the internet. Okay, it's only looking for a signature that's already been stored on your computer, so it's really not going to stop it from getting to you. So you need to stop it before it gets to the PC.
The head of the FBI was in town yesterday, and I'll never forget interviewing a special agent here in Pittsburgh once who said, Chris, it's not just about stopping bank robbery anymore. We've got to keep up with all the computer crime that's going on now. Have the laws, have the technology and everything else kept up? Because we read about ISIS all the time being ahead of us on the computers and the rest. Has law enforcement kept up?
Has law enforcement kept up? So I think that they're fighting a good fight, but there's limited resources for them to fight the fight with. And if you want to engage the FBI into some kind of cyber terrorism event, it has to be something that has some noteworthy value to it. They're not going to go after a crime where you lost $50. They're going to go after everything that starts at $5,000 and above. So we're talking about attacks on our infrastructure. We're talking about attacks where multiple people are harmed and they can show that there was cause for them to take that information. We're talking about attacks that need attention by several professionals, cyber professionals at the same time, not where somebody can come in and say, well, I can clean that up with Norton antivirus, because they're not interested in those activities. There's too many things going on in the world for them to focus on your PC or mine, to be quite honest with you.
Well, that brings up another question. I have several friends that I've been to their houses, and they go to websites that I've never heard of. I'm such a neophyte with this kind of stuff, and watch First Light. Like, how do you do this? What do you do? Aren't you afraid the FBI is going to come knocking? I said, no, they don't want me. So is what you just said true? Are people watching these movies on these websites for free? And how do they do it? I don't understand it. To me, it's stealing.
To me, it's stealing too, and I don't know how they do it because I don't want to know. All right, it's not an activity that I want to get involved in, but there are sites that go out and pirate those movies, and then they'll stick them online for you to download or to register with them, and you pay a fee and you get that movie. I'm sure that anything that you can imagine is available.
But is that too low level for the FBI to even think about this?
No, I would say not, because I've heard stories where the FBI has gone to college campuses where that kind of an activity was going on, and they shut down the activity, and you know, people were arrested and put in jail for 13 years. So it's a serious crime.
You can ruin your whole life as a college kid just trying to watch a free movie, right?
That's exactly right. The cost of renting the movie legally, especially when you can go to Redbox and go get it for $2, I mean, why would you want to risk going to jail for 13 years?
It makes sense to me, but I don't think people think about that. That's the reason I would wonder about everything up to the death penalty, if these things are deterrents or not. So how do we deter people from committing this kind of cybercrime?
That's a good question. How do we?
That's why I'm here, Albert.
That's the million-dollar question.
Right. You can't put it back in the box, right? The genie's gone?
No, the genie's out of the box. You know, we have to make people accountable for their actions. That's number one. Once people start understanding that if they commit a crime, there's going to be consequences and probably stiff penalties to do it, sort of like drunk driving. You know, you drink and you're buzz driving or you're drunk driving, there are severe penalties, and you're going to start looking at fines up to $10,000 to get you out of jail and back into society as a normal functioning human being.
But when the FBI director was in town the other day, I read an article in today's paper where one critic of, as he talked about attacking cybercrime, one critic said, indictment without arrest is pointless. How do you arrest all these people who are in China or Russia and creating these kinds of malware that attack us?
I don't know how you do that. That's the problem. We don't have necessarily correct extradition laws to go to China and pull people out of the Blue Army. The Chinese Blue Army is the world's largest government-backed hacking force. And I think that's why we indicted the generals of the Blue Army, but we haven't arrested them because we can't get our hands on them.
And what would happen if we did? That seems like that would lead to World War III with the Chinese.
I think it very much would be, because they own a lot of our debt right now, and I think that that would be severe consequences going to happen. But we have to do something at some point to stop the cyber crimes going on. I've heard of isolationism. People don't want to talk to these countries. I've heard of Europe saying they don't want connections from the United States.
That genie's out the box now. It's a worldwide economy, though, right?
But they can close off the internet so that you don't have to have direct communications with them.
Isn't the Chinese internet closed off to its civilians? How is the Blue Army so big there when they restrict their civilians there?
Well, they do restrict their civilians.
Mm-hmm.
They do close off outside information accesses. They do restrict what you can and cannot see. But they hold the keys.
And in an open society like ours, it's much harder.
Well, in an open society, you don't restrict the access.
Mm-hmm.
But in a closed society like communism, you get what we're going to tell you is available.
All right. Any websites you want to plug before we go?
www.it-security-inc.com.
Albert Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it, sir.
Thank you, Chris.
All right. I'm Chris Moore. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we've got some more information for you on train safety.
We know weather's important to you, and it's always been our #1 priority at Channel 11 News.
That's why we've expanded Pittsburgh's Severe Weather Center.
You told us you wanted clear maps and easy-to-understand warnings. Now they span our entire news set.
We use state-of-the-art equipment to track approaching storms, giving you time to keep your family safe.
The best technology, the biggest commitment, the most trusted team. Channel 11 News, severe weather coverage you can count on.
JD Byrider now has the newer, lower mileage, high demand cars you've been looking for. And always easy financing, affordable payments, and cars that are inspected, computer tested, serviced, and reconditioned for safety and reliability. You spoke and we listened. We've added newer inventory and made our approval process easier to help even more people. Check out our newer inventory and easy financing. Save time, money, and stress. JD Byrider. Come in, click, or call 855-GO-GO-808.
My name is Irina Lund, and I live in Seattle, Washington, and I was born in Moscow, Russia. Before ITT Tech, I was bartending, and sometimes I had to work 2 different jobs. You don't get to see your family. I decided to do something about it. I've been driving by this big building with ITT Tech sign on it. I work for Play Network, and I'm a network support engineer.
I was really, really proud of her to the way that she stuck it out. My mom is a role model to me.
I definitely would have gone to ITT Tech much earlier than I did. I don't know what I was waiting for.
Scholarships and financial aid are available for students who qualify. To find out more, call 1-800-ITT-TECH or visit us on the web. ITT Technical Institute. Education for the future.
There's a warning out there from the National Transportation Safety Board that without a new technology called positive train control, we could have many more train wrecks that could cause a lot of damage, property damage, and loss of lives. There is something that Amtrak is using, but a lot of other railroad companies are not using it yet. Let's take a look at this report from NBC's Tom Costello.
It happened last May 12th. 8 passengers died, 200 injured when a speeding Amtrak train derailed north of Philadelphia. 2013, 4 dead when a speeding Metro North train derailed in the Bronx. 2008, 25 dead after a Metro Link train blew a stop signal in Chatsworth, California. While the technology was available to prevent these accidents, none of the trains had it.
It says you're going too fast, you have a 90 mile an hour,
It's slowing it down for you.
It just took over control of the train from me.
At Amtrak's training center in Delaware, we saw how positive train control works. Now, 8 months after the Philly crash, Amtrak has finished equipping nearly the entire Northeast corridor. With transponders in the tracks, computers monitor every train and slam on the brakes if necessary. But PTC is only in place in the Northeast and areas around Los Angeles. The rest of the railroads are owned by freight lines, which complained about the technology's cost and complexity. So Congress has given them more time till 2018 to get PTC up and running. Not good enough, says safety experts.
Every day that PTC is not in place, we run the risk of another Amtrak crash at Philadelphia or another Bronx crash.
In essence, the technology is about trying to remove human error as a factor in crashes by forcing the train to abide by speed limits and stop signals. Amtrak says it would have saved lives in Philadelphia.
We're going to keep moving as quickly as we can to install positive train control and make a safer railroad, a damn safe railroad, safer.
Still, no word from the NTSB on why the Amtrak train in Philly was speeding. But nationwide, the high-tech safety fix is on a slow rollout. Tom Costello, NBC News, Wilmington, Delaware.
I think the most important thing to consider here is those freight lines, especially the oil trains. We've had trains in this area that have derailed and caused all kinds of problems when that oil has exploded. These freight lines need to reconsider their position on that and move ahead with this technology. All right, we'll take a break, but come back with one more thought in just a second. Stay right where you are.
I'm Alex Trebek. If you're age 50 to 85, I have an important message about security. Write down the number on your screen so you can call when I finish. The lock I want to talk to you about isn't the one on your door. This is a lock for your life insurance, a rate lock that guarantees your rate can never go up at any time for any reason. But be careful. Many policies you see do not have one. But you can get a lifetime rate lock through the Colonial Penn program. Call this number to learn more. This plan was designed with a rate lock for people on a fixed income who want affordable life insurance that's simple to get. Coverage options for just $9.95 a month, less than 35 cents a day. Act now, and your rate will be locked in for life. It will never increase. Guaranteed. This is lifelong coverage that can never be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Guaranteed. And your acceptance is guaranteed, with no health questions. You cannot be turned down because of your health. Call for your information kit and read about this rate lock for yourself. You'll also get a free gift with great information. Both are free, with no obligation. Don't miss out. Call for information, then decide. Read about the 30-day 100% money-back guarantee. Don't wait. Call this number now.
Call 1-800-440-8400 for your free information and a free gift. There's no obligation. That's 1-800-440-8400. Or visit us online at colonialpenn.com. That number again is 1-800-440-8400. 1-800-440-8400. Call now.
The 9/11 Air Wing has dodged more bullets than you can shake a stick at. Pardon me for mixing my metaphors. When it comes to closing them, now they're talking about adding C-17s to that airlift wing, and Colonel Charles Chip Holdsworth says it could also add 200 jobs to this area. That would be a good thing. Time for me to get my hat. Hope you have a great day. Bye.
Sometimes we say buckle your seatbelts because anything can happen on Channel 11 News at 5.
Yeah, the stories are constantly evolving, and our reporters,
Some of the best in the business.
well, they're getting the latest interviews and information right up until they go live.
And that has always been our commitment, to bring you the news that is happening right now.
Channel 11 News is fast-paced and completely current.
When you watch Channel 11 News at 5, you'll know everything important happening now.
Channel 11 Morning News takes a different approach to helping you get ready for your day. We get right to the things that are most important. We're the only station that updates weather and traffic every 10 minutes all morning long. We tell you what happened overnight and the breaking news happening right now. And we do it without a lot of useless chit-chat and joking around. Weather and traffic every 10 minutes. The news you need in the morning while respecting your time. That's Channel 11 Morning News. Weekdays starting at 4:30.
We know weather's important to you, and it's always been our #1 priority at Channel 11 News.
That's why we've expanded Pittsburgh's Severe Weather Center.
You told us you wanted clear maps and easy-to-understand warnings. Now they span our entire news set.
We use state-of-the-art equipment to track approaching storms, giving you time to keep your family safe.
The best technology, the biggest commitment, the most trusted team. Channel 11 News, severe weather coverage you can count on.
Channel 11 News 11 at 11 means 11 minutes of news and weather before the first commercial.
11 minutes of major news.
With more reporters in the field uncovering more details from important local stories.
More stories and more details right from the scene.
Plus, Severe Weather Team 11 weather before the first commercial.
I'll have your first look at weather before the first commercial.
Tonight, watch Channel 11 News 11 at 11 for 11 minutes of news and weather before the first commercial.